spent 2 weeks in Dubai, and in this video I will be sharing everything that went down in that trip. From getting a visa to my first impressions and all the places that I visited, including an unexpected visit to the hospital and all of the crazy experiences that I had. Hello everyone, I'm Basilia for 5 with Nomad, and here I share content about my digital nomad lifestyle. So when I say Dubai, I actually mean the United Arab Emirates, and a lot of people don't realize that Dubai is just 1 out of 7 Emirates in the UAE. I spent 2 weeks touring the UAE, and I will be sharing my full experience in this video. So if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you like my content, and hit the notification bell so you get notified when I release new videos. And if you've been watching my videos, thank you so much for your continuous support. And yeah, let's dive right in, guys. I'm actually a Nigerian citizen, okay? And as a Nigerian, our movement around the world is pretty restricted. And this means that of the 193 countries in the world, Nigerians can only visit around 45 countries visa-free or with visa on arrival. That is a fraction of countries in the world, right? So we need to apply for a lot of visas to go to most places, and it can be quite a burden. But for some magical reason, there's some sort of agreement between the Nigerian authorities and Dubai authorities and some agencies that make getting a visa to visit the UAE relatively easy if you have the money for it. So I embarked on this journey. It's my first trip outside of Nigeria, actually. Before then, I had never stepped out of the country yet. I've never had an international flight before, and this would be my first one, and I was super excited for it. And in order for me to get my Dubai visa, I applied through an agency, and because it's my first time leaving the country, I had to leave a deposit of over 600,000 naira with them, which I would get back on return. And if you convert it now to dollars, probably like $700 deposit. To the best of my knowledge, I think the purpose of this money is to guarantee you coming back. And so I paid that deposit, and I got my Dubai visa for 2 weeks in the UAE. And so I embarked on this journey. Most people understand that Nigeria is a third world country, but many people don't grasp how it really is, right? In Nigeria, there is no constant electricity, there is no proper infrastructure, right? Even if you live in Abuja, which is supposed to be the capital city, there's still areas where you don't have constant electricity, and some roads are not good, and it's like half and half, and things are not how they should be. So imagine me as a 23 or 24-year-old, having my first trip out of this environment and going to a hyper environment. Plane touchdown in Dubai at night. So at first, I already saw the huge airport. I'm like, oh my gosh, this airport makes Abuja airport look like a fucking kiosk or something. And it was so huge. And even when we touched down there on the tarmac, the plane still had to drive for quite a few minutes to get to our stop. And I just kept seeing all these planes, and the airport was so huge. And I feel like that initial experience, left an impression on me, like the biggest airport I had ever been to at the time. I also flew with Emirates Airlines, right, which was pretty fancy, and I got this nice food and all of these things together. It was such a great experience, right? And I actually flew to Dubai with my husband, and so we touched down, and I got to the airport. We did the whole security thing, customs and everything, and it was interesting. When I was at the airport, and I kept hearing on the speaker, like, this is a quiet airport and all of these things, and I found it pretty funny and interesting. So I went through customs, and then we rented this nice Mazda CX-9. Honestly, to this day, it's the most luxurious car I've ever been in my life. And I say this with no shame whatsoever. And the first place we went to was Palm Jumeirah. So while we were driving to Palm Jumeirah, I noticed so many fast cars, like expensive cars. I had never seen that many fast cars in my entire life. Lamborghinis. It was mind-blowing to me. I vividly remember just saying, wow, and just looking around. It was like I was some village girl. No, I was literally a village girl in a big city. I was wide-eyed, just saying, wow, oh my God, why was I born in Nigeria? At some point, I started getting a bit depressed, like, why was I ever born in Nigeria? Why? Like, there's steady electricity here. There's all these big buildings. The roads are perfect. Everything's super organized. I mean, this is supposed to be a desert country, but there's trees everywhere. And I noticed that there was irrigation. I mean, if the trees are being irrigated, it shows you the level of maintenance, right? It blew my mind. Even now, recounting the experience, it's still blowing my mind, to be honest. And so we drove straight to Palm Jumeirah, and it was then I realized from looking at the map that it's actually a fake island. It's man-made. Insane, right? And we took a few nights in a loft. Yeah, some nice hotel, Palm Jumeirah. Yeah, just the view from my window, I could see the Burj Al Arab, right? And I saw jet skis on the water, and I saw some big yachts and everything, and wow, it was such an experience. And I kept saying, I don't want to go back home, please, I don't want to go back home, and things like that. And so after like 2 nights on Palm Jumeirah, because I mean, it costs a lot of money. I mean, per night a room there cost $250 a night, so it was big bucks, so we couldn't like spend the whole trip there. So I was actually sick on this trip, and this particular illness that I had was characterized by severe itching, and there's nothing you can really do about it. All you have to do is just wait it out, because it's caused by virus. Actually, this is an interesting story, because things started from Nigeria. Just a few days before my trip, I noticed like a round ringworm like thing. So I actually thought it was ringworm. So I went to the doctor in Nigeria, and the doctor said, oh, it's ringworm, and they prescribed me drugs. But I didn't take the drugs, right? Because I was preparing for my trip and everything. I was like, oh, when I travel, I'll start the drugs. But then when I was in Dubai, it got worse, because then this rash had spread all over my body. So we then went to the German Arab hospital in Dubai to figure out what was going on, because I realized it's not ringworm. But that was actually the first time in my life I went to a proper hospital, right? Like world class. And so when I got there, the doctor saw me, and immediately he just Googled online and showed me, look, does this look like the rash you have? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, yes, I think so too. And you have pityriasis rosea. And I got a proper diagnosis. So imagine, guys. In Nigeria, I always thought I had ringworm because I had a herald patch, which is one of the first symptoms of having pityriasis rosea. And they just told me, oh, it's ringworm, go do this. And then when I got abroad, I got a proper diagnosis. So this is one of the problems in Nigeria, where people are misdiagnosed, or people don't even know what they have, and they can't have peace of mind because they don't know what else to do, right? That's just on a side note. And so when I was there at the hospital, the doctor prescribed me some drugs, and then I went to the pharmacy there to get the drugs. And for the first time in my life, I saw a machine actually selecting the drugs for you. Crazy, right? Like, I had a lot of firsts on this trip. Basically, pharmacist imputes the drug that they want, and the machine goes vroom, 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 picks the drug and drops it in the collection box. I'm like, okay, this is really cool, right? It was pretty insane. And so after I got a diagnosis and everything, we left Palm Jumeirah, and then we started our trip around the country, and we visited 4 out of the 7 Emirates, okay? 2 of the other Emirates we passed through. The Emirates that we actually visited and spent time in were Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Ras Al Khaimah, Sharjah, but there are over 7 of them. I think Fujairah, Ajman, and another one, Al Kuwain or something. But there are 7 in total, and we toured 4 out of 7 of these Emirates. And I remember we immediately went to Jabel Jais on our first trip. It's one of the big mountains there, and just the ride there was fantastic. It was mind-blowing, you know. And then we got to the mountain, and it was cold, and there were a lot of tourists there, and wow, it was such beautiful scenery. And from there we went to Ras Al Khaimah, and in Ras Al Khaimah I did the craziest thing of my life, and I went parasailing. Actually, honestly, to this day I don't know what possessed me, but I went parasailing in Ras Al Khaimah. And honestly, I didn't know what was going on. Even when I was on the boat, I still thought things were okay and I could do this. And then it was not until I put on the gear and my feet left the boat and I was going up in the sky that I realized, what the fuck did I just do? Actually, for like 5 minutes, my eyes were closed and I was saying, oh my God, I don't want to fall, I don't want to fall, I don't want to fall. And then after some time, I calmed myself down, because I feel like I was literally having a panic attack there. And after some time, I'm like, okay, it's okay, open your eyes. And I open my eyes, and the boat that's dragging me, or dragging the sail, is like tiny dot down there, and I'm just up there in the sky. And it went on for, I think, maybe 20 to 30 minutes, that ride. And then when I came back down, like, why did I do that? It was one of the crazy experiences in my life, and I realized that, wow, you really set your mind on something, you can do it, right? If you get past the fears and all these limiting beliefs, you can really do whatever you set your mind to. And I feel like that's something that still motivates me today, right? I tell myself, oh, if I could go parasailing, then I can do anything. After that, we went to Jabel Hafeet, another mountain. It was a nice view from there. Had some nice lobster at this hotel Mecure there. It was very nice. You had the view of the city while eating. It was a nice experience. I went to Sharjah. I went to the beach. I had some cat calls. It was a nice experience. And even though the perspective is, oh, it's an Arab country, it's super religious and everything, I felt super free and I felt super relaxed, and I felt like life was pretty normal. I went to the beach in Sharjah with my bathing suit and it was okay. No one came to say, oh, cover yourself. No. Also, when I was in Dubai, I noticed that most of the people in the service industry were not Emiratis, who are the locals, right? Most of the people in the service industry were foreigners, you know, Indians, Pakistanis, Asians. You would go to the mall and the person who would serve you would probably be an Indian or even a few Africans I saw. So the population of the UAE is not that much, and so the locals are treated very, very well by their government because it's a very rich country. So that was something interesting that I experienced while I was in Dubai for 2 weeks. I also went to Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi, and I went on the fastest roller coaster in the world, and honestly it was an insane experience because you're on the roller coaster and it feels like an out-of-body experience because it feels like your body is behind your soul or whatever it is, but it was pretty insane for me and mind-blowing. And at Ferrari World there's also a theme park, Ferrari theme park, and there's all these nice things. And we also went kayaking in Hatta, and it was nice. You're kayaking in a lake, and there's all these mountains like walls around you. It was fucking trippy, you know. And I've been to over 15 countries by now, and to this day it remains one of the crazier, most expensive trip of my life. We found this resort, Anantara resort. We spent like a breakfast time there, and it's a very trippy place. It's like you go into the desert, and what do you see? You see this hotel or resort that looks like it was from back then in Bible times or something, based on the style. Really trippy stuff. I went on the Ferris wheel in Abu Dhabi, of course, first time as well. And I loved the experience, totally loved it, because I had a great view of the sea, all these boats and people everywhere and nice buildings. It was a fantastic view. I also visited a popular tourist destination, which is Moreeb Dunes, and oh my gosh, it was quite a unique experience because it's like you're just driving on the road and all around you is this huge wall of sand, and it's so hot. You know how hot it gets in Dubai, right? Over 40 degrees, and it's so hot, and there's all this sand, and wow, it was such a crazy experience. And we went on a boogie across the desert and we caught a nice sunset. Oh my gosh, it was one of the crazier experiences also, because I feel like that was the first time I've ever seen a proper desert. And then we went to Dubai Mall, and I had a taste of the dancing fountain, which was pretty spectacular to me. And honestly, in Dubai, I saw the biggest malls I've ever seen, you know? It's like, why all this retail? Who's buying this? Who can afford all of this? I also went to the club in Dubai, and it was called the Illusion Club. And in clubs in Nigeria, people are dancing like crazy. I mean, you see people grinding on each other, and it's a bit sexual even, right? And for me, going to the Illusion Club in Dubai, I just saw people standing and drinking and nobody was dancing to shit. It was so shocking for me. I'm like, what's going on here? Why are you in the clubs if you're not going to dance? I found that an interesting experience because it was the first club outside of Nigeria that I had ever been to. So considering, guys, this was my first trip outside of Nigeria, a third world country, to the UAE or Dubai, a second world country, it was mind blowing for me. And I feel like it had a lasting impact on me in terms of one of the motivations for me to want to travel the world and see more of the world. And one of the motivations also to be a digital nomad, to be free, working for myself online so that I can go wherever I want, when I want. I feel like throughout my trips around the world, some of the best food that I've had was in the UAE. I had so many good food experiences. I feel like a country that's competing with this is Israel, because in Israel I never had a bad food experience and I went to a lot of restaurants there. So also when I was in the UAE, all the hotels and all of the places, all the restaurants that I went to, the food was just fantastic. It was especially the breakfast. The breakfast was so elaborate. I feel like the UAE or Dubai has some of the best breakfasts I've ever had throughout my trips around the world. Amazing stuff. Oh my God, the experiences that I had, I feel like I can't even say all of them because I don't even remember them right now, but they were so amazing. And honestly, if you can afford it, I recommend visiting the UAE because it is a fantastic place. Lots of things to do, lots of things to see. Of course, it costs a shit ton of money, right? But you would have the experience of your life. I mean, you would literally make memories that would last a lifetime. So guys, what do you think of this experience? Have you been to Dubai? Share your experience with me in the comments. Do you have questions about visiting? I didn't live there, so I cannot provide any immigration tips or anything. But if you want tips on places to visit, I will drop a few places in the description below of places you can check out based on my own experience. So if you've watched until now, wow, you really found my experience visiting Dubai interesting, and I want to appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.